Greetings, this is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. My guest today is Mr. Terry Boykins, and he's going to talk to you about your children, their financial and emotional welfare. There's trauma there. You don't believe it, but he's going to show you. We'll be right back. Greetings, this is Wallace Allen, Empire Talks Back. Today's guest is Mr. Terry Boykins. Terry, how are you doing?
Good, Wallace, good to be back.
God is great, I'm grateful. Terry, you've been looking out for our kids. I understand that their emotional and financial welfare is your target.
That's correct.
Talk to us about that.
Well, you know, I tell you, one of the things that we want to look at here is what is actually happening with our kids, trauma. A lot of times we talk about school bullying. Well, one of the things that we don't talk about is the abuse and the domestic violence trauma that occurs, the sexual assault trauma that occurs with our young people. Oftentimes we look at what happens with regards to how kids perform or don't perform in school, and we look at those as academic measures, but we don't look at them with regards to their trauma that occurs in their lives at school or at home.
How deep is this trauma, and give us some examples, because right now I'm kind of remembering things that I did as a child, and right. As I've talked to some of my ex-schoolmates and stuff, I've even been told that, you know, Wallace, at the time you were a bully. Hey, what do you mean I was a bully? What do you mean I was a bully?
Right. Get in your face with it.
Right. And it makes you think back. And so let's exemplify some of these things we're talking about.
Well, one of the things that we know that measures is the Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACEs score. Looking at how childhood trauma impacts where a child is in terms of their ability to even cope with situations.
ACEs score.
Acquired Childhood Experiences.
Very good.
This was basically a study that was done by the CDC in Kaiser. And so it basically measured the amount of trauma a child has been exposed to, or individuals have been exposed to over their childhood. The higher the ACEs score, the more severe the trauma. Most individuals will have a ACEs score, let's say, of 2. But once you get above the range of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, those are some extensive trauma.
What marks the life calendar with trauma? How do we, you know, is it a hard birth? Mm-hmm. Is it a big sister that's bigger and stays bigger? Yeah. Is it they didn't breastfeed? What's trauma on a child?
Well, you think about it. You know, we live
with the scoring, with this ACEs score. How do they determine it?
Have you been subjected to violence? Have you been subjected to sexual assault? Have you been subjected to domestic violence in the home? Have you been subjected to abuse?
Subjected, witnessing, participating.
It could be either the victim of or witnessing of.
So the child listening to mom and dad argue.
Absolutely.
And certainly if there's any physical activity between mom and dad of a violent nature, that would be one of those.
That's going to have an impact.
And their interaction with other children?
It could be in terms of individuals that have maybe bullied or have threatened. You know, there's so many situations. Parents separated, divorce.
Okay.
Issues of not really having comprehension of their identity.
Okay.
And so you look at a number of different things, even in terms of what's exposed to. You know, recently we had a situation, I believe in Florida, video game competition.
Okay.
Individual loses, he resolves his defeat by killing other gamers. Coping skills. So what happens when individuals that are trying to earn a living in the video gaming market now are afraid to compete?
At least afraid to win. by too big a score,
or afraid to win too big a
Yeah.
score. But think about what happens if you are basically looking at that as your livelihood, and you have had that experience of somebody killing gamers because they lost.
What is popping into my mind now is the life that children, poor children,
Okay.
ghetto children, I'm going to say black children because of the headlines, because of the news, because they are the more of a target news-wise. We've got black kids killing black kids. We've got black kids being killed by police. We've got black kids that are not succeeding in life. And from what you're telling me, witnessing that puts some of these kids in a stall as they decide about how they're going to go forward in their life. This score, this
ACEs.
yeah, this ACEs score, this accumulation of things that create fear, trepidation, become subtle in your mind. They really have a large impact on what you do, but do you acknowledge or recognize these things as the child has this high ACEs score? Is he aware of that? Or is he simply being motivated by that, or not being able to be motivated because of that? What are we looking at?
You know, I tell you, you hit on a key word, the accumulation. How much can you take before you break? There's a breaking point in everyone. And so when you even being subjected to vicarious trauma, individuals that are not directly involved with putting out or involved directly, it's just the fact that you see something happen to somebody. Accumulation, the buildup of trauma is impacting our society to the point where schools are learning to just deal with all the things of being able to cope and understand and comprehend subject matters and academics to make it through that particular system. I mean, I don't recall growing up having a school psychologist on campus.
No.
You had a nurse.
No.
And if you fell down
Let
in
me
the
say
playground,
this.
go ahead.
I remember growing up, watching TV.
Right.
I remember watching Superman and superheroes and walking around like I wanted to be one. What occurs with our young people who are watching these games and they've got villains walking around that are projected as some level of hero?
Yeah.
How do they break that out? Terry, I know that your organization is called Street Positive.
Correct.
I know that you spend a lot of time on the street observing, getting involved, so that you can deal closer with what the kids are really being impacted by.
And I'm going to tell you what the kids are being impacted by. At the end of the day, this comes down to economics. When you are confronted, and I tell people, when a child's mind is emotionally disrupted.
Hold it, Terry. I got to check my bank account right now because I'm having a problem with my money.
Your
I
ACEs
want to be
score,
sure
you
that
got to take your
everything
ACEs
is
score.
okay. I guess that's what we're talking about.
This is bottom line. And most people think the Street Positive is about being involved with youth and really being out on the streets with young people and working with programs. That's not what Street Positive is about. What Street Positive is about is catching young people or humans at the earliest stages of development, so it reduces their ability to become damaged adults. My focus is, if you get the youth early, we minimize the risk of them being damaged adults, because you have safety nets in this country under 18 years of age, and sometimes it's up under 24 years of age. Well, what happens when that safety net is removed? What happens when you don't have resources and you don't have services, you don't have support? Look at the homeless program.
Let's look at foster care.
Let's look at foster care.
Because foster care represents exactly what you said. It represents guidance, support, help, direction. Oops, you're 18 now.
That's right.
See ya.
System departure.
Now, I understand that there's some, but at 18, I think now the kid is pretty responsible for having to go out and ask for those services and seek them out, as opposed to having them delivered when you're prior to 18. Does this happen? I hear parents say to their kids, man, you're going to be 18, you're getting up out of here. I'm really going to be happy when you're gone, and you'll be on your own. And they're saying it not out of spite. They're kind of saying it with pride. But as I put myself in the seat of the child, it's like, well, you know, where's my tag up spot? Am I going to be able to come back and tag up? Am I going to be able to depend on some kind of continuity in my past that'll help me with my future? Where are we running into these problems, Sherry? What's going on with the parent? Where is this coming from?
To let a child loose at 18 years of age is a dangerous proposition.
You know, now the kid, first of all, said, I can handle this. I'm looking forward to this.
Once again, and the reason why they're saying it, because they don't know no better.
Now, military says, you are solid and sound. I'll take you at 18. And
well, here's the irony. We know that the human brain does not fully develop until age 25 or 26. Now, why would you prematurely let a child, 18 years of age, make decisions and their brain hasn't fully developed for 8 years from when you say they're legal and responsible? So something's wrong here. You know, if you have children and people that have children that are on their medical benefits, those children come off of that medical benefits and have to get their own health care at age 26. There's a reason for that. So something is on the okie doke here. At 18, you were saying, hey, go do what you got to do, you're grown, but yet your brain is not fully developed. So why in the world are we allowing young people to not really get the gist of what it takes to survive as an adult? This goes back to where you start talking about street positive. What's happening here is if we can create the support system, the resources, the tools, and get you educated with those before you become an adult, the likelihood of you becoming dependent on the system diminishes. That's what street positive is about. Because once you step on that corner and you can't function as an adult, you're a risk to society, you're a risk to yourself, and you are basically compromising your ability to navigate the system as a grown person. And I can tell you what, there's one thing seeing a hurt child, but when you see a hurt adult that raises a family, and we talk about fathers, when you have a father who's hurt and has the inability to know what to do to provide for his family or to get his family to a safe place, either emotionally or financially, we got a problem.
Now, being prepared to take care of your family.
Yes.
Is often, and most times, that's not really a prerequisite to having a family.
To having sex.
That's right. Well, to having sex and unprotected sex and having children. And, you know, so we take that 18-year-old, and let's go from 18 to 25, and we say, as you say, well, this person isn't really responsible. Mm-hmm. But they are responsible. They are treated as though they are responsible. Anything that's an accident looks like it was planned. They have so much confidence in their presentation and push that society blames them, accepts their movements as, well, you're 18, the Army will take you. 18, you can smoke cigarettes. 21, you can drink alcohol. Hey, you're responsible. But society ends up being the victim. But at the same time, society is the victim, but so is that broken person. Where are we as a society when we're not willing to take care of the weak, look out for the orphan, help the widow? Those are things that, you know, superheroes want to do.
That's what they want to do.
Where did our superhero complex go? And how can we bring that back if we're going to be stronger and a greater America?
Well, the superhero is called capitalism.
Okay.
And capitalism basically says the strong survive.
Okay. Well, if the superhero is capitalism, I would say that's like first gear in my car.
Okay.
You know, this is where I got to make $1 out of 15 cents.
That's exactly right.
You know, I got to make something happen with nothing. Mm-hmm. But what happens when I get a pocket full?
Oh.
Okay, so this is where I am.
This is when you become a one percenter.
Well, as a one percenter, let's say as a 1%er, I'd like to sit down on my end of the table and have my meal. But you over there is a 99% poor without anything. As a 1%er, I'm depending on you being impressed enough or maybe civilized enough to let me eat in peace. Do I have a right to expect that? Because what do you have as a tool to help me? Disruption. This is where
you're absolutely correct.
I say, how can someone or individuals or society that's smart enough to compile all of these resources be so dumb as to not make them available to other people?
Well, look at what we do. We are the most incarcerated country in the world. Anytime you can turn incarcerating people into a business, and we talk about the prison, the school to prison pipeline. When you look at how do I benefit from you being detained? So, do you have your cake and eat it too? Possibly.
Now, how do we get away with letting the government steal that resource of human quality and get away with it? But we want to put a pimp in jail.
And I'm doing a show on pimp proofing tomorrow night. So
this is, I mean, I know this is one of the things that you talk about, bring to the floor, and that is that taking advantage of the disadvantaged is pretty much pimp mode.
Well, let me tell you where it starts. And you start talking about the government, we, the people. When you do not participate at the local level in decisions impacting your local city, we, the people, you have spoken. You're saying, we're going to let somebody else do it. And see,
we're going to take a break right here with the idea that somebody else is out there doing it. And one of the things I've heard you say is that if you don't love your child, don't worry about it. There's somebody else out there that will.
If you don't spend
We'll be
time with
right
your
back
child.
to talk a little bit about that, how you can protect your child, and more about what Terry Boykins is doing to help solve this circumstance that we're in. We'll be right back. We're back. I'm still Wallace Allen, and that's still Terry Boykins. You had a chance to go get some water and refresh yourself, because I know those last statements should have brought you to some level of, hey, wait a minute. What do you mean if I don't take care and love my child, there's somebody else out there that will? If I don't protect my child, there's someone else out there who will pretend to protect my child. Terry, we're talking about slave trade. We're talking about sex trade. We're talking about what happens when parents are not paying close attention.
Well, let me tell you what. Coming up, you know, we do the Million Father March every year.
Say that again.
The Million Father March.
The how many?
11 years now.
11 years
11
of doing
years.
a Million Father March. And
Fathers.
it takes place in
Colton.
In September.
In September.
When kids are?
Come back to school.
There we go.
And that's what happened. Fathers across the Inland Empire responsible for taking their children and being involved with their child the very first day of school. But this year we're going to do something different. Not just talking about fathers taking their child back to the first day of school academically, but being trauma informed. Fathers understanding that when that child leaves that home, what emotional, mental condition are they sending that child into the school with? Are they contributing to that child's deficiencies and the ability to learn? What was the yelling with the mother? What was the yelling? How did you talk to your child before they go to school? What are you telling them? How physical do you become with? What trauma has that child encountered before they begin the learning year that we have for 9 months?
On the way to school.
On the way to school.
You guys be quiet back there. Don't make me.
That's right. Or sending a child, you know, we've got
I saw that on TV, folks.
Yeah.
That's not something that I do or did. Okay, but okay.
You're just you're portraying the actor.
Yes, I'm portraying it. But this is how common this gets. I hear people tell their kids that they're bad. You can walk through the grocery store and you'll hear a parent saying something to a kid that they think is correcting them, but they may be actually directing them.
Yeah.
They're going to be what they're told.
Wow.
They're going to be what they are told they are. If you say they're bad, they're going to try to accomplish that for you.
I'm going to tell you what. At the Million Father March, I have a gentleman that's coming in. Mother was a very successful, well-known recording artist. This gentleman is going to talk about what happens when your parents don't pay attention to you. Went from a lifestyle to the streets. 8 baby mamas, 14 kids.
8 different women having a child for him.
That is correct. And he's going to talk about what happened in his childhood that set him down a path of street life. This is a man that's looking at 45 years to life in prison.
And 8 kids with no life because daddy's in prison.
That's correct. And matter of fact, some of his kids have taken the same path that he set forth and made an example of what they were able to see.
So what if you got a bad daddy that treats you good?
If you got a bad daddy,
he's a bad actor, but he treats you good. You want to be just like him.
That's a good oxymoron.
Oh my goodness, isn't it?
That's an oxymoron.
That's terrible.
And
but that could be.
But that could be. And you know, this is where we get ourselves in trouble.
We just saw a movie get an Oscar about a bad man who was good to a child that was possibly confused about his sexual orientation. And the movie won a big award. So you know, we're following that track of you may be bad, but there may be something good in you. And I'm not saying don't look for that.
Yeah.
But I am saying that it could be very confusing to our kids, to our parents, to us as a society, as how to perform. But let's get back to the importance of the Million Father March on the first day of school and the positive thing that it does for our kids.
Let me tell you, when a child is accompanied by a parent, and in this case what we advocate is a father, their self-esteem, their importance of valuing school, their academic performance, the relationship that parent has with the teacher now is strengthened. And that's what you want if you want successful students. If you want successful students to become successful graduates, if you want successful graduates to become successful workers, and if you want successful workers to become entrepreneurs, managers, executives, presidents, this starts by the relationship that child has with the parent. And oftentimes, it really becomes glued with the relationship that child has with his or her father. And so we've got 2 distinct programs that are happening. The Million Father March, September 15th. We're going to bring fathers. You can go to the website, streetpositive.com, learn about what we're going to do. And we are going to challenge fathers throughout the Inland Empire. Come spend time becoming trauma-informed and enjoying time with fathers who are just like you, that want the best for their children. But also there's going to be resources there. So fathers, if you need help and you need to get access to resources so you can be a better father to your child, come out on the 15th. And we're going to be at Fiesta Village. We're going to get a chance to have fun with fathers bonding with their children, seeing other fathers bond with their children, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is.
And see, there's going to be a whole bunch of love on the 15th of September. And see, when a child sees that other men are loving on their child, he's going to want his daddy or her daddy to love on him or her. We're going to do that. But we're also going to talk about another piece. And that's the relationship that fathers have with their daughters or don't have with their daughters. We talk a lot about pimping. We talk a lot about trafficking. We talk a lot about sexual abuse, assault. But we also talk about broken women that have daddy issues. And we also have created Daughters Lives Matter that has information about how fathers can learn how to effectively communicate and rebuild their relationship with their daughters. Because once that relationship is fractured between a father and a daughter, it takes a lot of glue to put it back together. And so when you put yourself at risk, there's 3 principles we have with Daughters Lives Matter: education attainment, victimization prevention, poverty avoidance. The reason why we're telling fathers, learn how to pimp-proof your daughter. That pimp-proofing doesn't just come from the man on the street. It comes from that boyfriend that she may have that may turn her out, that may take her money.
Who may be very confused about how to treat a woman because no one has ever demonstrated to him how to do it. And maybe he's one of those guys who spends a lot of time watching porno.
It could be. And see, what father
watching dad's porno.
Watching dad's porno.
Come on now.
Absolutely. And so here's the thing. If she's confused about what her role is because her daddy never took the time to teach her how to be a lady, then there's going to be a problem. Once again, we want to help young girls become broken women.
Steve Harvey wrote a book.
Poverty, trauma.
Steve Harvey wrote a book, Think Like a Man. And it was a book for women.
Yeah.
And according to the movement, he gave away all of the secret things that guys do to corner the woman and pretty much corner her for sex.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you read the book, but I guess that was some type of pimp proofing of the daughter. I read a little bit of the book and I saw the movie, and the movie was kind of typical in that the guys were ticked off that they found that the girls were getting the secret message on what was really on the guy's mind.
The word is out.
Yeah. When we want to pimp-proof our daughters, what does that really entail? Are we talking to them about the life of what happens when you're pulled into sex slavery? How do we do that? Or is it basically paying attention, spending time with your child?
It is that. It is exactly that. But not only just spending time paying attention, it also goes both ways. It also involves a daughter being open and willing to listen to her father, because he knows the game. He knows what's coming around the corner because he used to put the game out there, you know.
Or at least he thought he did.
And now he did. That's how she got here.
Right.
He got with the mama, and that's how that happened.
Right.
But really comes matter not just in terms of just sex trafficking. You got individuals that may be dating your daughter that's pimping her for her money, for her sex, for her emotions. So it all depends on what a man wants to feed off of. The question is, whose daughter is he going to feed off of? If you don't spend time with your child, somebody else will. We guarantee it.
Terry, tell people how to get involved with you. Tell people where they can get in touch with you. And let them know about, like you say, you've got the activity on September 15th. Okay.
September 15th. You'll get a chance to go to www.streetpositive.com. You can also go to www.daughtersLivesMatter.com and learn all about Pimp Proof. Get a chance to look at what we're doing, understand this issue of trauma, and ask yourself, am I doing enough in my life to ensure that my child is trauma informed and trauma free?
And we're actually talking about mental health.
We are talking about mental health.
And we're talking about that thing that has a social stigma, that nobody wants to get into that room of discussing or being involved with mental health. But we either have a healthy mind or a traumatized mind. And from what you're telling me, all of us have some trauma that may be causing a lot of drama that's stopping us from being comfortable with the baby's mama.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna have to get your new track out. I see what you're doing right now.
But yeah, what do we?
But my piece here is financially.
where is the mental health department on this? Are you working with mental health? How does that come in? Do we have psychiatrists involved in your programming or not? And all of those are questions, Terry, that probably have to get you to come back at another time.
I'll come back. I'd love to come back.
Okay.
I'd love to come back and spend some time with you. But we'll definitely look at that. But you go to this website, you get the information. And I tell you what, just a shout out, African American Health Coalition, mental health.
Very good.
Linda Hart has done incredible collaboration. She's the person I go to for mental health needs, particularly the African American community. And I can tell you what, she has been phenomenal. We definitely got to address the mental health in our families and our communities.
And one of the things that I think is very important for us to note is that trauma knows no racial borders.
At all.
Terry, thank you very much for sharing with us this important information about trauma in our lives. We look forward to you coming back because I know we didn't get to finish.
Right.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you, Wallace.
You guys, Empire Talks back, another great show, another great presentation of information that is very important to discuss. I look forward to seeing you again in the very near future. Take care.